What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? Wait a minute, let me close the freaking window that it's just as soon as I start the stream. Just as soon as I freaking start the stream, there's a guy building something, so give me a second. Okay, fuck that guy who's building something, I don't know. But okay, let's start on today. Welcome back again to another live reaction here on the channel, and today we're gonna take a look at yet another day, or the final day of the round of 16 matches, in which saw many different crazy matches, all the way from Belgium, Japan to France, Argentina. But today we saw one which was kind of interesting, because we saw two teams face each other that not necessarily would be in a quarterfinals, you would imagine, and those are Sweden and Switzerland. So both of them face in a very interesting match, I gotta say. I was thinking that perhaps it was gonna be kind of like a boring match, because we've seen both teams trying to adopt a more conservative play and style in this particular World Cup, especially more inclined to Sweden. Obviously Switzerland had to follow that similar philosophy against someone like Brazil, but Sweden is all about that defense and all about that yellow wall in the back, and that's how exactly I think they were able to handle this pressure in Switzerland, especially in the last few minutes. So let's talk first of all about the match. But before, I want to hear your thoughts on this match. What did you think about it? Did you enjoy it? Did you think that Sweden deserved to be in the quarterfinals, or perhaps it was Switzerland? I don't know. But the first, I gotta say that both teams at the start were looking very aggressive, and I really enjoyed that, because I didn't expect that at all. I already said from the great start, I was thinking that it was gonna be a good match overall. We're gonna have teams going up and down the field. We're gonna have many chances. After all, we didn't see that exactly, but we did see a more interesting match than what I would have thought by initially, to be completely honest with you. So second talking point I want to mention is that after that, however, both teams decided to close their lines. Both teams decided to do a more compact unit to try and diminish the risk that they would have taken. Obviously Sweden much more than Switzerland, because Switzerland is a team more technical. It's a team with a lot more technical players than a team like Sweden. Sweden is much more about that physicality and adopting that to play within your own right. And in Sweden, you have people like Toivonen, you have people like Marcus Berg, you have people like Claesson. However, if we take a look at those very similar players, but in the case of Switzerland, we're going to have players like Shaqiri, players like Embolo, players like Suber, players like Desmali. You have many different players that are much more technical in the Switzerland side. So more inclined to Sweden, trying to defend a little bit more and trying to look for those counterattacks. And that's exactly what Sweden tried to do at the end of the day. I gotta say that something very interesting that I noticed about this game is that Anderson being the manager for Sweden, he looks like a NASA researcher or scientist or whatever. He looks like this guy who's like really smart on what he does, and credits to him, because he has taken Sweden all the way to the quarterfinals, and more especially knocked out Netherlands, knocked out Italy, knocked out Germany, and now they're gonna be in the quarterfinals, and perhaps even further than that. But I mean, he acts like a Latino. He acts like he's from South America in the way he shouts for every single foul, every single chance, and that's pretty cool. That's really interesting. It seems like he's very passionate about what he does, so kudos to the guy. Switzerland, as today, I gotta say, we're too hard to play in from the back. We see many chances in which Switzerland were taking risks a lot, especially in the very first half, in which they wanted to play from the back, and I just don't see Switzerland having that ability. Obviously, you have people like Akanji and Diuru, but even though just Akanji, I think, is the good center back within all the players you have good in the ball. Michael Lang being a right back, he's not even that good on the ball, and the same with, well, Ricardo Rodriguez, he is good at the ball. But the thing is that they try to play too much from the back, and I think that they risk too much in the very first few minutes, and that's why exactly I think that they diminished their attack and got a little bit more nervous about what they were going to do. And in that sense, I think that Switzerland should have tried just to look a little bit more direct passes into the midfield. You got strong big people such as Berami and Xhaka trying to find pockets of space in between them and then pass it all over to someone like Dirmich. I think that would have been a much better option than just trying to play from the back, especially when you take a look at teams as Sweden, which are very compact team and they're going to pressure you to your limits. Sometimes they were passing from the back, for instance, Sommer onto Michael Lang, and there were 3 players surrounding him. And that's exactly the main thing that I was worried about, because at the end of the day, imagine if they would have lost by a mistake. And I think that would have been so much worse than just this kind of own goal that they lost by. Obviously, Akanji deflecting the Emil Forsberg shot. Moreover, however, that gave me another insight into what Sweden will probably do in their next match in the quarterfinals, now that they'll be facing a team like Colombia or England, and is that they're expecting to play a little bit more attacking football. And that's exactly what I saw today. We saw Emil Forsberg, which was very, very good, who tried to play for the middle but also for the left. I think that Claesson is a player who is very interesting. It's a player I do not normally have ever heard of before. I don't even know where he plays. Let me just take a look. Victor Claesson. I think he plays on like a Russian side, perhaps. He plays on yeah, he plays on Krasnodar. Yeah, right. I was right. He plays in Russia. But that's the thing. I think Claesson and Emil Forsberg will have much more to do with him in the next few matches, because again, I don't think Sweden are going to go back to that exactly defensive side that we saw against teams like Germany and which other team did they play? Germany and well, just Germany, to be honest. I don't think they're gonna fall back into that. I think they're gonna be looking for the game, and that's exactly what they were trying in this one. They tried to look a little bit for more the game. They were a little bit more cautious, and I think that's a great virtue that Sweden have in this game. Sweden are very similar to Uruguay and very similar to, I don't know, a team like Atletico Madrid, a team which are very good in these knockout competitions, because they know exactly when to pounce, they know exactly how to keep the calm, and most importantly, how to play with the pressure. They can come here, and with pressure, I don't mean like the mental pressure. I mean with like the real pressure. Like, I don't know, the pressure on the ball, you know, kind of stuff. In that sense, I think they're very good. They're very well built for a competition like this. And it's all kudos to the manager like Anderson, because he has made this Swedish team a quite potent and competitive team overall. So they can defend, for instance, in matches like Germany, but they can go and look for the counterattack. And that's how they got the goal against Germany. Exactly. That's how the goal came also here this time around for Sweden against Switzerland. I think that they're a team that will most probably be complicated for every single team onwards. Like, even if they beat Colombia or England in the quarterfinals and they progress on forwards to the semifinals, I think they will be also a very hard team to beat, depending on Croatia or Russia on the other side. So it doesn't matter about which team has the best players. It's all about the system, and I think that now that Sweden knows exactly how they play, and they got great center backs, Lindelof, Grangvis, they got a good attacking fullbacks in Lustig and also Augustinsson. They got a good system with the right players in every single position, and I think in that sense Sweden are a more capable team in this competition than we might have think at the start. And especially I didn't think that Sweden would have done a such World Cup as they are doing right now, and more especially, obviously, they got Switzerland on the round of 8 or round of 16. But I think that they're capable of doing so much more. So we have to give them credit for that, because their system, their way to play the game, and their way to understand this competition, it's just splendid. They are really, really good. I think them, Uruguay, and probably a team like England have the best systems in this World Cup, and obviously Brazil has the best system of all. But those are the teams who understand what they're playing for, and I think that's good in a competition like this, which is very, very short, and you cannot afford to make many mistakes. I gotta say that as soon as the goal came from Forsberg, I was a little bit more. I was hoping for a little bit more. I was hoping there will be one more goal. I don't know about you guys, but I certainly wanted a faster game. I certainly wanted a game that would last a little bit longer, because this game just didn't have too much to analyze for, and that's exactly what I'm having trouble here, because there isn't any too much thing we can talk about. It was just basically Sweden granting the ball over to Switzerland, and Sweden just defending and then having the perfect time to strike. And that's something that they're really, really good. And then they just got big into it. They got really into it, and they were the guys controlling the goal. So it's really, really insane. And at the end of the day, it's something that most teams need to learn and appreciate from Sweden, is that Sweden knows how to suffer. We're talking about 28 minutes or 23 minutes in which Switzerland were just pummeling Sweden with crosses, with corners, low crosses, free kicks, and Sweden just kept there. Sweden just kept themselves there, kept fighting, and that's very, really good. And I have to give my man of the match award to Robin Olsen, which is the goalkeeper. That last save in the 90th minute from Haris Seferovic, and where he just went down to the corner and just grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, like that ball almost would have gone through. I gotta say that that's the moment where I was like, okay, this guy deserves the man of the match, because he really saved his team in that situation, and many others. He's a guy, Robin Olsen, I don't know where he plays exactly. Let me just take a look at that as well. I want to learn a little bit more about these players. Robin Olsen, he plays in Copenhagen. Really in the Copenhagen in Denmark. He plays there. Yeah, he plays there. Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's give him credit for that, because a player like Copenhagen is being the star here of the Swedish teams, and we have to give him credit for that. He's been really good in Germany game, both against Mexico and the same against South Korea. He was a very crucial part of the Swedish team, and we have to give him the credit where it's due. And I'm really happy for that, because at the end of the day, we're giving a player who deserves it the man of match award. So now, guys, we have to wait a little bit more on this match against Colombia versus England. I gotta say that probably both Colombia and England will be kind of scared with this Swedish side, because the Swedish side is showing a little bit more of competitiveness that perhaps many people would have thought at the start of the tournament. And especially when we take a look at Colombia, I think that Sweden may become a very hard team to beat for them, because South American teams are a team who likes to have the ball, but not necessarily likes open play. And Sweden are not going to give you that. Sweden are going to cut the spaces and going to be as tight as possible, and that's going to be very complicated for teams like Colombia. I think England will have a better time with Sweden if we're come to that, because England necessarily are much better in set pieces and had that ability of working towards that physicality a little bit more than Colombia. So I think that definitely if Colombia goes through in the next one, it want to be much more harder to face Sweden, and Sweden therefore then have a very good chance to reach in the semi-final, and not only the semi-final, perhaps even the final. Who knows? It may happen. I'm starting to lean towards that, because this Sweden side is looking very good, and very organized and disciplined, and that's what's gonna take you very far in a competition. So great job and congratulations to Sweden. And I'm starting to look into this Swedish side. I'm starting to understand this team and really see them as a candidate perhaps to not win the World Cup, but reach a very good stage in both the semi-final and the final. So who knows, guys? Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Please remember to drop us a like and leave us a subscribe. Just like always, remember to follow us on also other social media to keep up to date. See you on the next one. Take care. Ciao.